And that's why today, at my direction, the era of unprofessional appearance is over.
By the way, the beardos thing is a direct shot against black people. A lot of people don't understand this, but this is a major point of contention for active duty service members that are black. A lot of people don't even recognize it unless you are either tapped in and you have friends who are veterans, who are black veterans, or just like, this is an anti-black policy. The reason why the military in the past has allowed some members to not shave and have like hair standards that are a little bit looser is because a lot of black people, when they shave, get like significant, not like razor bumps. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like folliculitis or something. I don't know what it's called, but like they get shaving waivers. Okay. Because black hair is different. And for that reason, in order to boost the numbers, pseudofolliculitis barbae, doc here, pseudofolliculitis barbae. Yeah. It's like not regular razor burn though. It's like a serious problem. So the reason why the military was like, all right, it's fine. We don't have like the same shave standards. You can get a waiver for it was for obviously people with religious reasons not to shave, like sick people or Muslims or specifically black people for the folliculitis mention that I just made. And a bunch of black service members were allowed to get these shaving waivers. So now he's like taking that out. But for those of you who don't know, this is like this initiative, revoking that shave waiver is actively.
Aren't you clean shaven, Sergeant?
Oh, yeah,
So I'm not clean shaven because I do have a condition called pseudometiculitis. It's when your hair grows out and back into your skin, which causes your hair follicles to be more into your skin, causing your face to turn red and causing there to be bumps. There's usually rash, and this is more common in, African Americans because our hair is more kind of tightly woven hair that is thick and it's not as straight as other people's hair. It's a natural thing that happens.
And the Marine Corps has like waivers for it. They're called no-shave chits, right?
Yes.
If you have pseudometiculitis, you could still join the military. They have waivers and no-shave chits for it. Don't be afraid to, go to your recruiter or anything like that just because you can't shave. What's your favorite part about the military?
The cohesion, like.
Yeah. The beard policy thing is not about readiness. Like there is no, like it's just, the reason why they have the shave waivers is for that reason. I already explained it to you. That dude explained it as well. But the reason why you would revoke that, the reason why you would, this is cap, by the way. No, it's not. What do you mean this is cap? As an active duty service member who is black, there is no convincing other members that this administration is racist. I have a beard, and the amount of people that say I just want to abuse the system and that a beard is unprofessional is a lot of people. No, I thought you were saying like that this okay, no, that makes sense. All right. The cohesion part is cap. I get it. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Like there is no the reason why they're taking away the waivers is just simply to say like fuck you if you're black and you're in the military, you're going to shave your face no matter no matter what kind of complications, medical complications you can have.
No more beardos. The era of rampant and ridiculous shaving profiles is done. Simply put, if you do not meet the male-level physical standards for combat positions, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position or a new profession. I sincerely appreciate the proactive efforts the secretaries have already taken in some of those areas, service secretaries. And these directives...
Yeah, of course, spec ops still get to have beards, obviously, because they're cool and mostly white and also badass. They get to grow a badass beard because they're special operations, baby, special forces. Hoorah! Woo! That's right! Delta Force! Sorry, I get excited when I think about muscly men doing targeted assassinations overseas. Hell yeah, it gets my dick hard. They grow their beards and they look so I don't want to make out with them. Oh, yeah, baby.
Are intended to simply accelerate those efforts. On the topic of standards, allow me a few words to talk about toxic leaders. Upholding and demanding high standards is not toxic.
Can we acknowledge Pete never made it past platoon leader in the National Guard, brother? This was in the National Guard, bro. And now he's the commander of the military. Bro, I swear to God, I think this is the most dangerous thing that this administration has done so far. Okay? Fomenting discontent within the highest ranks of the military. As a dude who was in the National Guard yelling at a bunch of generals who spent their entire lives in the military, who have so much respect for not only their own position, but so much reverence for the American military. Like, you know my take. I treat people as people. Some vets are hogs. Some vets are great. Who cares, right? But like these guys, the dudes in that room, they spent their entire lives and their livelihoods abiding by certain standards with a certain expectation of what the American military is supposed to represent. So when you get a Fox News who was in the National Guard coming out demanding all the generals come back to Quantico and just talk about how no more beardos and all this other shit when they have no respect for you, I think it's probably one of the more dangerous things that this administration is doing. You don't have to be a student of history to know. You do not have to be a student of history to know the one group that you are not supposed to piss off is your military. Okay? I'm just saying every day, we move closer and closer to Felix Biederman's idea of an officer's mutiny, a socialist junta. It probably won't happen. I'm obviously, it's just not a smart thing for these guys to do that. Okay?
Enforcing high standards, not toxic leadership. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year. Every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our Joint Force is required to do PT every duty day. It should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already, but we're codifying it. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching. Real hard PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room to the youngest private, leaders set the standard. And so many of you do this already. Active, Guard, and Reserve. This also means grooming standards. No more beards, long hair, superficial individual expression. We're going to cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. Because it's like the broken windows theory of policing. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually goes. So you have to address the small stuff. This is on duty in the field.
By the way, part of the reason why they have those like looser restrictions on PT is because one of the major crises that the American military broadly is experiencing is a crisis in recruitment numbers. In the absence of a 9/11 style incident, recruitment numbers have obviously fallen, regardless of the poverty draft that the American government has, right? Regardless of the fact that the military is seen as like one of the only ways where you can get the same kind of welfare and social assistance that you would get as a citizen in competent European governments. The military has experienced a severe crisis in recruitment. Okay, last time they saw big numbers obviously was 9/11 when people felt the call of duty, and I guess like with the imminent recession, recruitment numbers have ticked up. Not exactly great, but part of it's not exactly great for the future of America. I mean, but the reason why they had lowered standards, for example, and even offered like shave waivers and things like that, things that are irrelevant to standards and discipline, like letting black dudes in the military not shave because otherwise their faces explode with blisters is perfectly normal, is perfectly valid. Okay, all of this stuff is just aesthetics. It's just aesthetic posturing from a guy who doesn't even understand the issues that the military currently has. Army vet here. Anyone who's been in the military knows someone like Pete who thinks he knows how the military should be, what standards should be upheld, and how to make the military better, except back then they were never put in charge of any serious operation, maybe cleaning brass from a range. This is kind of scary. I just don't think that this is going to lead to the positive results they thought they were going to get out of this this experience. I just don't think that lifelong career generals, who many of them are well-read too, are going to look at a DUI rapist Fox News host and go, yeah, this is the guy who's commanding me. This is my Secretary of War. Awesome.
If you want a beard, you can join Special Forces. If not, then shave. We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans, but unfortunately we have had leaders who either refuse to call BS and enforce standards, or leaders who felt like they were not allowed to enforce standards. Both are unacceptable. War does not care if you're a man or a woman. Neither does the enemy. Nor does the weight of your rucksack, the size of an artillery round, or the body weight of a casualty on the battlefield who must be carried. This, and I want to be very clear about this is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent, but it could be the result, so be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games. This is combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus...
Dude, this is literally the fantasy of, like, this is like having a couch guy run the military. Okay, this is the opinion of a guy who never served from the outside. Like, not saying that he hasn't, he was in the National Guard, but like, this is literally the areas where you see this kind of attitude most commonly represented are the dudes who wear like the grunt force outfits, who are themselves fat as shit and never actually served or failed out of basic, right? And the guys who were like, oh man, I was gonna serve, but life had other priorities for me. But like, this is exactly what the military should represent. Yeah, like this is such a crazy thing to watch. It's such a crazy thing to watch unfold. Yeah, baby, let's go. The military, we're bringing strength back to our soldiers, to our brave warriors, man.
An enemy hell-bent on killing you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force, you must trust that the warrior alongside you in battle is capable. Truly.
What is this? And not a moment too soon. Women should not have ever been in combat roles if they can't meet the standards that men need to meet. Equality is downstream from life and death. This policy should be applied to police and firefighters as well. Bro, this is it. This is what I mean. It's like, this is for Asmongold and people exactly like Asmongold. That's who he's doing this for. This shit gonna piss off. I think this is gonna piss off a lot of top brass. Okay. Women should not be in the military police force. I will die on this hill. My grandmother was a nurse in World War II. It's where she met my grandfather, who was a pilot. Women can provide value and service to the military, but that doesn't mean we should endanger lives pursuing the false god of equality by giving them lower standards for combat roles. Oh my God. Oh God. And Clean says, thank you. Ugh. Asman couldn't even meet the standards of women. Yeah. I mean, he would be the first to say, oh yeah, that's why I'm not serving. That's why I'm serving my country by being a Twitch streamer.
Physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know, this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain.
Ooh.
We've had to make trade-offs and some difficult decisions. It's more of an art than a science. We have been and will continue to be judicious, but also expeditious. The new compass heading is clear. Out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies. and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Pattons. More leadership changes will be made, of that I'm certain. Not because we want to, but because we must. Once again, this is life and death. The sooner we have the right people, the sooner we can advance the right policies. Personnel is policy. But I look out at this group.
Why did they film this? Why do you think? Because this is not for the generals. This is for the general public. This is for the Asmongold's. This is for the couch potatoes who will never serve, but have developed this like false notion in their minds that the U.S. military has been brain broken by woke. These are the people who looked at Mark Milley, okay, saying, of course he's Red Mao. He must understand the enemy, and went, oh my God, he's a woke transgender, Marks Milley. We have to fire him. That's who this is for. These guys are so stupid. They literally think that the American military was like running around being like, yeah, we just got to be woke now. We have to be woke. It's so stupid. This one general is all of us during that rambling Trump speech. No, because he's a woke general. That's why he's like, no. Logs, I have a question. I literally disagree with everything this man has ever said, him and Trump, and I am with you on so many things, but what's the problem with having gender-neutral physical tests? Genuine question. I don't even have an issue with the gender-neutral tests or whatever. Ironically enough, I think the reason why they've lowered the standards for testing is literally because for certain positions you have gender-neutral tests, for the record, number one. Number two, the reason why they've even lowered restrictions or lower standards is because they were facing a recruitment crisis. Okay, that was it. That was the reason why they were lowering standards. Did you watch the Ben Shapiro video made about you yesterday, encouraging violence? Guys like this only live the world through drama, I think. No, man, I didn't respond to Ben Shabibo. Why the would I respond to Ben Shabibo? Irrelevant. Who gives a shit about Ben Shabibo in the big 2025? They actually raised standards, but we still have recruitment issues. I don't know why. No, the reason why the standards were lowered initially was because of recruitment problems. But Pete Hegseth and many other couch potatoes think that, armchair generals think that if they actually make the military strong in its optics, that more people will want to join or some shit.
And I see great Americans, leaders who have given decades to our great republic at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service.
Oh my God.
But I suspect, I know, the overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your hearts full. You love the War Department because you love what you do, the profession of arms. You are hereby liberated to be an apolitical, hard-charging, no-nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be. Truth be told, for the most part, we don't need new standards. We just need to reestablish a culture where enforcing standards is possible. And that's why today at my direction, I'm issuing new policies that will
Minimum score already didn't matter in many infantry units. If you didn't have at least 270 PT score in my unit, you were I think the reason why these guys are doing this is twofold. Number one, it's to say, my way or the highway. You need to be loyal to the administration first and foremost, right? And the other reason is because they want to communicate to the rest of the country, like the military is hard-dicked again, you know, like it used to be or whatever. Ironically enough, the American military, when it was the most successful, was obviously when they had a mandatory draft and they did not have the same standards at all, World War II. And ever since then, regardless of whether standards have increased or decreased, the American military has not really fought a war to win a war. They've fought a war to continue it so that the military-industrial complex makes more money. So do with that information what you will. But like I said, a lot of the back and forth here is purely for the optics, for the aesthetics, to make it seem as though these guys are, you know, working at the behest of a important cause to make the military strong again, that sort of thing. But I think it's a failure on both fronts because this kind of discontent will piss off some of the lifelong career generals. A lot of them, as a matter of fact, getting talked down by like a National Guard, a drunk rapist himself. And then the other ones, there will be rats who are loyal to the admin, who recognize that this is an opportunity for career advancement, and they'll start shanking one another. Okay? This will, ironically, I think, lower military readiness. But what do I know?
Overhaul the IG, EO, and MEO processes. I call it the no more walking on eggshells policy. We are liberating commanders and NCOs. We are liberating you. We are overhauling an inspector general process, the IG, that has been weaponized, putting complainers, ideologues, and poor performers in the driver's seat. We're doing the same with the equal opportunity and military equal opportunity policies, the EO and MEO at our department. No more frivolous complaints, no more anonymous complaints, no more repeat complainants, no more smearing reputations, no more endless waiting, no more legal limbo, no more sidetracking careers, no more walking on eggshells. Of course, being a racist has been illegal in our formation since 1948. The same goes for sexual harassment.
Has the military abided by those standards? I don't know, man. I don't think so. But also, I feel like, especially on the sexual harassment and sexual violence front, that definitely doesn't feel like it's been the case. Rape stocks in the military skyrocketing. Also, where is he going to go from here? Let's see.
Both are wrong and illegal. Those kinds of infractions will be ruthlessly enforced. But telling someone to shave or get a haircut or to get in shape or to fix their uniform or to show up on time or to work hard, that's exactly the kind of discrimination we want. We are not civilians. You are not civilians. You are set apart for a distinct purpose. So we, as a department, need to stop acting and thinking like civilians and get back to basics and put the power back in the hands of commanders and NCOs. On the topic of standards, allow me a few words to talk about toxic leaders. Upholding and demanding high standards is not toxic. Enforcing high standards, not toxic leadership. Leading warfighters toward the goals of high, gender-neutral, and uncompromising standards in order to forge a cohesive, formidable, and lethal Department of War is not toxic. It is our duty, consistent with our constitutional oath. Real toxic leadership is endangering subordinates with low standards. Real toxic leadership is promoting people based on immutable characteristics or quotas instead of based on merit. Real toxic leadership is promoting destructive ideologies that are an anathema to the Constitution and the laws of nature and nature's God, as Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence. The definition of toxic has been turned upside down, and we're correcting that. That's why today, at my direction, we're undertaking a full review of the department's definitions of so-called toxic leadership, bullying, and hazing, to empower leaders to enforce.
Oh my God. So-called toxic leadership like bullying and hazing, we're bringing it back? What the Like, at what point did this not exist in the American military? Am I crazy? I feel like regardless of the standards, like this has always been the case, right? Very strange. Hold on.
Standards without fear of retribution or second guessing. Of course, you can't do like nasty bullying and hazing. We're talking about words like bullying and hazing and toxic. They've been weaponized and bastardized inside our formations, undercutting commanders and NCOs. No more. Setting, achieving, and maintaining high standards is what you all do. And if that makes me toxic, then so be it. But this does not mean, and this goes for all of us, that
there were big efforts to reduce abusive behaviors. I mean, effort or not, like a lot of the military standards are still fairly abusive. As a vet for basic training specifically, bullying, collective punishment, and smoking standards have softened, which I'm okay with. Well, they're back. The only thing toxic here is this liver. Hasan, don't be a pussy, bro. Bully me. W.
our path to this auditorium on this day was a straight line. or that the conditions of the formations we lead are where we want them to be. You love your country, and we love this uniform, which is why we must do better. We just have to be honest. We have to say with our mouths what we see with our eyes, to just tell it like it is in plain English, to point out the obvious things right in front of us. That's what leaders must do. We cannot go another day without directly addressing the plank in our own eye, without addressing the problems in our own commands and in our own formations. This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity
What is
months,
that buzzing?
DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship.
The fuck?
No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that. I've made it my mission to uproot the obvious distractions that made us less capable and less lethal. That said, the War Department requires the next step. Underneath the woke garbage is a deeper problem, and a more important problem that we are fixing and fixing fast. Common sense is back at the White House, so making the necessary changes is actually pretty straightforward. President Trump expects it. And the litmus test for these changes is pretty simple. Would I want my eldest son, who is 15 years old, eventually joining the types of formations that we are currently wielding? If in any way the answer to that is no, or even yes, but, then we're doing something wrong. Because my son is no more important than any other American citizen who dons the cloth of our nation. He is no more important than your son, all precious souls made in the image and likeness of God. Every parent deserves to know that their son or their daughter that joins our ranks is entering exactly the kind of unit that the Secretary of War would want his son to join.
Hundreds of the U.S. military's top officers are in Virginia this morning to meet President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. It's a very unusual, maybe unprecedented, and possibly risky gathering. Nancy Cortez is at the White House to try to explain all of this. Nancy, good morning. So what do we know about this meeting?
Well, we know very little, Nate. The people who have been invited know very little. We do know this meeting is the first of its kind in modern memory. You've got generals and admirals, basically the entire top echelon of the military flying in without a clear understanding of why exactly they have been summoned. They are meeting at Quantico Marine Corps Base, about 35 miles south of Washington this morning. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called for the meeting, though military commanders were not given many details. They were just told to get here within days to hear him discuss his priorities. President Trump himself seemed unaware of the meeting when our Ed O'Keefe asked him about it last week. Then he said it's a great thing, and now it actually appears he plans to address the group as well. Of course, Democratic lawmakers have raised some security concerns here, with all of these military leaders leaving their posts at the same time and convening in one very well publicized spot. Not to mention the cost of flying all of them back to the D.C. area on short notice for what sounds like a pep talk. At least that's how President Trump described it over the weekend. He said it is simply a good chance to talk about how well the U.S. is doing militarily.
It was Pete's birthday. This is the only way they could get people to come. When you're not part of the minority on the chopping block, you're more likely to suggest the Democrats abandon them for the Republican voters. Okay, I understand this. Yes, except it's not only ridiculous to suggest this, right, from your perspective of privilege, but it's also been a demonstrable failure thus far. That's the problem. Like, there is no good reason to do this. If you could present a solid argument, at least I would entertain it, and then I would talk about the morality of doing such things and how wrong that is, because, you know, that's not... There's a crisis in leadership, and we mustn't, let go of marginalized communities. It's not purely for politics, all this stuff. But I don't even have to make the moral argument, right? This is, as I've said over and over again, just like the issue with Israel. Just as I kept repeating that initially, when it was tremendously unfavorable to speak out against Israel in the immediate aftermath of October 7, I said, no, this is still wrong. And I do know that people will inevitably realize that the asymmetry of violence in this circumstance makes Israel out to be the villain and not the people resisting against a settler colonial occupation and genocide, right? And I was right. Now, or even leading up to the election, I kept repeating over and over again that this wasn't just an issue of morality. It was also the pragmatic approach that Democrats approaching the subject matter from a partisan perspective was a good thing for them, would have been a good thing for them. It would have yielded a lot of tremendous higher approval ratings if they were to turn around and actually speak out against Israel at the time. But even now, even at this very moment, there are still people that refuse to reckon with that reality. You're right all the time, but the I told you so game feeds the haters. Is that what you're saying? I know, but the I told you so isn't, the reason why I'm doing the I told you so moment here isn't to be like, oh, I'm so smart. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was right back then and people are still not listening to me right now. Do you understand? Well, I wouldn't even necessarily say that people aren't listening to me right now. The people are. The people who have no idea who the I am also have arrived at the same conclusions, obviously, because they recognize right from wrong.
Find out if there ends up being any more to it after the meeting happens this morning. Nate?
Nancy, thank you.